Hi guys, it's Crafty Tina's. In this video I'm going to show you how to make a notebook using the We Are Memory Keeper Cinch. This notebook is a half hidden spiral. So you have a spiral notebook, but the spiral is kind of hidden. You can't see it from the top or the bottom. You can see it from the edge, but they're not sticking out. There's going to be multiple videos coming out with hiding the spirals and doing some really fun things. This one is kind of like a little zigzag, but it has a new element to it, and that is I found these pen holders on Amazon. They're small little leather-like patches that already have adhesive, and it has a 3/4 inch piece of elastic to hold your pen. Now you can put these in the book and cover it, like if you wanted to put a piece of matching cardstock here and you could cover to give the illusion that it's not there. My husband does lasering, so I like the idea that he could laser something on this. Someone's initial, a flower, butterfly, a bird, and pretty much anything that matches the tablet. I bought them on Amazon, and I will include the link. I bought a pack of 12, and I think they were like $8 for 12. So that's kind of pricey, but not really. I bought the 12 with 12 different colors. You can also get a 12 pack of all black. I am using my 9/16 wire, and I'm using 3x5 index cards again with the inch cut off the end. So let me show you how I made this and give you the dimensions for punching your holes and getting your cover and your pages centered. Now in my other videos I've provided dimensions and instructions on how to punch the holes. Here they are again, and I promise, getting you guys a list of the different size books and where to put your settings to put your holes. There's just so many options on how to punch the holes that I'm trying to get a comprehensive list going. Once I do, I will make sure I come and let you guys know. So make sure you subscribe so that you'll know when I'm posting more videos. Here are my 3x5 index cards, and I have cut an inch off the side. There are 35 index cards here, so 35 pages. We're using a 9/16 wire today. We're using 6 loops. This is the double loop wire. It is a 2-to-1 pitch, and the size is 9/16. I used my little guide to figure out what size wire I wanted to use. If you're interested, this is another video on how to make you a simple wire guide based on what wires you have in your stash. So we are going to need chipboard. I am using wallpaper. You've seen this in another one of my videos on my recipe cards. This is actual wallpaper. It's vinyl, it's adhesive, and it came from Amazon. The inside cover is nothing more than a sheet of good quality scrapbook paper. I cannot tell you the brand or type because all of my scrapbook paper and my cardstock is none of the packages are still there. It's all in bins and folders and envelopes. So I can't tell you what brand or style this is. I was also gifted a lot of scrapbook paper, so this could have come from that stash as well. But this is like the good scrapbook paper you would get when you buy it by the sheet, or the kind you would get inside of a book. So let's get started so I can show you all of the steps to make this. This would make a really cute gift. When you close it, the pen is at the bottom of the pages, not interfering with the book closing at all. You can put your pen on the bottom or the top. I chose the top because I am going to go back and have a lasered image put on this. So let's get going. We're going to move everything out of our way, including our guides. We're going to start with our actual book. This is all one piece with 4 pieces of chipboard. It's going to look like this. We're going to have 4 separate pieces on the wallpaper to make our actual cover. If your vinyl has a print to it, you're going to make sure that you have the print facing in the direction you want based on how you open your book. Like this book is not intended to be open like this because of the lines. So I didn't want my print to be like this. I needed it to be like this. So we need the same thing with this book. So just like this one, I want my wallpaper print to be this direction, top and bottom. My chipboard is 4.5 by 4.25. This is 4.5, and this is the 4.25. And my chipboard needs to lay on my vinyl like this. My two little strips are going to go next, and they are 1/2 inch by 4.5 inch, followed by the back, which is the exact same as the front, and it's going to be 4.5 by 4.25 inches. This is 30-point chipboard. It came from Amazon. It is not overly stiff, so it can be cut with most paper cutters, but it is stiff enough that it's not like a cereal box. It works really well for small notebooks. If you were making a really big notebook, you may want something a little thicker. The first thing we need to do is we need to take the backing off of our vinyl. And it is always more difficult to take it off when you're on camera. Keep in mind, we already know this is how we want our paper to be. If you have trouble lining up and eyeballing stuff, put your wallpaper on a grid such as this so that you can really eyeball it to make sure that you're getting a decent start being straight. It's okay if it's off a little. You don't want it majorly off because as you go, it's going to shift and get too small on one side. We're going to place that down. Now, one of the tools is a book making or book binding tool. My husband 3D printed this, but you can also buy these on Etsy and you can buy them on Amazon. We're using this to give us a guide for how much space goes between the main cover and the first section. It needs to be just this wide. This is 1/8 of an inch. So I'm simply going to put my corner into the corner, making sure this little stick is straight, and then add my next strip. And by butting it up against this, it's plastic, so it comes right off. Now I have the same size gap the entire distance. Eyeballing that's a little difficult, but if you don't have this tool, by all means give it a try. Place it down again and add the next strip. You notice I didn't take this all off. If you have had this rolled up, this is going to curl. Your wallpaper is going to curl. I recommend you putting this underneath your mat and letting it stay there to flatten out. That way, when you do pull this off, this isn't curling back up on you. Remember, this is adhesive, so once it sticks to itself, it's pretty much done for. And then my next piece, got to remove my little guide. See how easy it is with this little tool? I'm not having to worry about this gap being too different. Then my next piece goes here. Now, keep in mind, these look very similar, and you're wanting to make sure the 4.5 is here, not the 4.25. So now all my pieces are laid down. You want to make sure they're nice and firm, no little air bubbles underneath. Watch rubbing your hand along the edges. This gives some really nasty paper cuts. Now I need scissors that I have lost somewhere on this desk. Always have a spare pair around. Don't stick your corners to your machine. It does leave a sticky residue. I'm just going to stick them to my shirt. I had to clean the edge of my machine because I had been putting these little stickers there until I was finished. Now that you've clipped your corners, starting in the center, work your way out. Do all 4 sides. I've done this in several other videos, so if I'm going too fast, please go back and look at some of my other ones. I do go slower. I am trying not to be too repetitive to bore you guys that are experienced, but I don't want to go so fast that anybody that is new can't follow along. So now I want to make sure my creases fold nicely, and they do. And here is my pretty book. Now this is one-way print, so one way is going to be correct and the other one is not, but this is a floral arrangement, so I could use either side. You need to make the decision now because my next page is one way also. So I'm I'm going to decide if I want this to be the front or this to be the front. I think this one. Because this is writing, this is top and bottom, I want to put this exactly like it's going to be opened up, and it's going to be this way. Now we need to add our writing. We're going to use Mr. Squeaky here. I guess we should call her Mrs. Squeaky because she's pink. We're going to add adhesive to all 4 sides. I'm going to add a few in the center just because I don't want the paper to pucker or come up. I'm actually going to add a little bit extra up on top because that's where my pen is going, and it's going to be stuck with a piece of adhesive, so I just want to make sure. Now this piece of paper was cut. I didn't give you the dimensions for that. This actual book is 10.5. So it's 4.5 this way, 4.5 this way, and 10 inches this way. I cut this very slightly smaller, like maybe 1/8 of an inch. I wanted it to go really close to the edge without hanging over. I didn't want too much of an edge all the way around. I will put all of these sizes in the comments for you. And now we have the actual cover, and we have the indentions for the different pieces. Remember, there's 4 pieces. So we need to fold them. You're going to fold down, you're going to fold up, and you're going to fold down, just like that. So it's an M or a W. Get a really good fold on it. And now I'm going to show you how to punch the holes. Again, we're going to use my little guides here. You guys want to get a good look at that? I've already punched all of the index cards, but I am going to show you how I did it. I'm going to raise you up. There we go. And the index card is exactly 4 inches wide. I cut 1 inch off of a 5-inch index card. So these were the 3x5 index cards you can get on Amazon. You could get them at the dollar store. You can get them at Walmart, pretty much anywhere. So I had a few packs of these and wanted to use them. So I cut off 1 inch to make this 4 inches. Now, in order to do the 4 inches, I wanted 6 holes. This is not a requirement. This is not a standard. This is a preference. And this is why it's so hard to get you guys a listing of how to make these and how to use the measurements, because there are so many options. I could have done 3 over here and 3 over here. I could have done 7 instead of 6. I could have done 4, 5, or 6. It's going to be a very long list. But I will try to get a short list out until I can get all the measurements that I can find. So for this card, it's 4 inches across, which we're going to use this guide. I want 6 holes. So my slider has to be slid to 1 1/4. And that simply means that at this first line, I'm going to 1 1/4. Once I have my slider to 1 1/4, I can then punch my holes. I'm going to push in 1 through 6. I'm going to pull 7 through 12. 1, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Pushing in 1 through 6, pulling out 7 through 12 because I only want 6 punches because that's what I chose for my wire. Once you have that, you simply put this inside, punch, and you have your holes. They are evenly spaced. This is not some mathematical, magical answer. This is me practicing and trying different solutions because I didn't know how many holes I wanted to punch. This is what I came up with, so I wrote it down to share with you. There is no magical way to figure this out. If there is, I haven't found it, and it would probably be too complicated. Keep in mind, if you've seen my other videos, I have not read the directions for this. I tried, and they were really bad, so I just winged it. I'm actually learning more about the machine by just experimenting. Take that junk mail you get all the time and use it to practice with. So there are my holes for all of my pages. Now I want to punch the holes for my binding. You're going to open it up all the way. See what we're doing? You're going to punch this. So you open your tablet all the way up. Now for this, it is a 1/2 inch wider than my pages. So I need to punch a 1/4 inch smaller because I want a 1/4 inch on each side. This part is mathematical. I want my cover to be a 1/4 inch on each side. I think I want it to be 1/8 of an inch on each side. No, I want it to be 1/4 of an inch. So what I need to do is I need to reduce it by 1/4, not 1/4 and 1/4, just the 1/4, because you're only picking how far in or out to start the holes. You don't have to worry about this side. So I only want to add 1/4. So my slider came out 1 1/4, 1 1/4 to punch the paper. So now my slider has to come out 1 1/2 to punch the cover because it needs to be 1/4 of an inch larger. So instead of 1 1/4, I move the slider to 1 1/2. This part is mathematical, but at least it's a simple mathematical equation. You're going to punch. This is thick. It's 30 point, has 2 pieces of wallpaper and 2 pieces of paper. Your cinch will punch this. Push it all the way in and all the way to the left and check your punches. 1 through 6 pushed, 7 through 12 is pulled out. Always check, even if you're doing multiples, because you could get distracted, change this, come back and think you're going back to the same thing. If you're like me, you start way too many projects and you'll get sidetracked. So double check, it's worth it because you don't want to have to make this again because you punched the holes incorrectly. So 1 through 6 is pushed in, 7 through 12 is pulled out. And we're going to punch. And see how clean the holes are? It punches really well even for something this thick. Now I have my holes inside, evenly spaced. I have my papers punched, evenly spaced, and I am ready to bind. Now here's where I am not going to use, and this is the first time, I am not going to hang my wire on the side and stack my stuff. For this one, I want to be picky. I want my seam, and the seam is where the metal goes all the way across. I want my seam to be behind the paper. I want my seam to be back here. So I'm going to put the seam there before I bind. And I'm afraid if I hang it here, I'm trying to figure out where my seam goes. So when I was experimenting and playing, I want my seam here. I'm going to put my seam there. So I'm simply going to put my wires in my cover with the seam in the back. Now, when I put my pages in here, my seam is going to be on the back. I get easily distracted, so I'm very visual. Now I know my seam is going to be behind my pages. And you're going to bind this just like you've bound everything else. If you need more directions, I do have a video explaining how to use the cinch. But you simply push these up against the back, holding it with your hands, making sure it's pushed all the way in. You make sure that you have set it for the 9/16, which is 1 click above a half, and cinch it down. Now it is perfectly mashed. I have my notebook. That was easy enough. Now for the pen. The pen can go anywhere you want it to go. Keep in mind, this is going to lay like this, and the book is going to open. This is still a flat notebook. It still lays flat. You can write both sides, which is one reason that I liked this one. You can also bend the book back. That's not something you can do with the fully covered spiral binding. Those books you cannot bend all the way back. So it has a lot of really good features. And now we're going to add the pen. So this is the pack I got on Amazon. It came with it came with 12. There's 12 different colors, and they are really pretty colors. And luckily there's basically a color you could go with anything. This is a piece of fake leather with a piece of adhesive topped, and then you have 3/4 piece of elastic. The 3/4 inch piece of elastic is perfect for pretty much any size pen. It fits right in. It fits small ones and large ones. I haven't tried anything thicker than a regular pen, but it does hold really well. And it has its own little piece of adhesive on here. It is a piece that has a tab, and then the elastic is sewn. I might try to make some of these so that I could make different shapes, maybe. I don't know. It's too easy just to buy them, I guess. When you're putting it on, you want to put a pen in it for a guide, because you want the pen to sit in the center, or you want this to be centered, but you want your pen to be inside the notebook and not hanging off. So we're going to put this right about here, and you just stick it down. So it's really easy. And there you go. Now when you close your book, your pen is not in the way of your index cards. It closes really nice. It's still very pretty. I actually like these a lot. I've shown you how to put pens in notebooks using the Crocodile. Not everybody has the Crocodile, and not everybody is able to use a Crocodile. They are very smooth and easy to use, but sometimes it requires a little bit of hand strength, and some people might not like the metal on the book itself. So they came from Amazon. I'm going to put a link. I'm also going to try different ways of making other pen loops out of elastic and see what we could come up with. But what do you think? Nice little gift. And it's half hidden. Make sure you subscribe so you know when the next video comes out. Comment below if you have any questions or you need any additional help. Let me know what you think, and as always, happy crafting.